All right, hello. We're back, FretBuzz. We thought today we're going to talk about tone on a budget. Tone on a budget. I rather like this topic because I tend to buy pretty inexpensive guitars and gear because I'm a multi-instrumentalist and I don't have big money just to devote to guitars. But I also think that today there's a lot of options that are affordable. And I think, it'd be great to let some folks know about it. Anyhow, so I'm just going to pick up a couple of guitars I have sitting here. I think we're going to do like 3 different sort of topics in this video. So we'll do guitars, we'll do amps, and then we'll do pedals. So
we'll do power supplies and cables next week.
Oh, right. Right, because that's the stuff that makes your tone.
And then strings and picks.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then socks. Like, what are the best socks for playing guitar?
That's right.
And you gotta have shoes. You gotta have shoes so when you take your pedal board selfies, you have good looking shoes.
No, man. Shoes kill the tone.
Yeah, dang it.
It's like having the extra finish on the guitar.
Hey, Auker, what are you talking about? Socks kill the tone.
Yeah.
Oh no.
The socks are the thing.
Yeah.
So, all right, so I've got this guitar, and I'm a bargain shopper, so I like to buy used stuff a lot. I recently started working on my own guitar, so I can file the nut, and I can like adjust the tremolo, and obviously stuff like changing strings. I just recently got a fret leveling kit.
Oh, cool.
And so I can do that too, and adjust the truss rod and all that kind of stuff.
Where did you get it?
But I got this guitar at Guitar Center.
Where'd you get the fret leveling kit?
Oh, the fret leveling kit I got on Amazon,
Okay.
Amazon Prime, and some Chinese company. I don't even have I don't have it with me right now, but it's a Chinese company, and I think I spent $35, and it came with a whole set of nut files. Plus, it came with the filing block, and then a bigger, finer block that has kind of a sponge with a sort of sandpaper around it. And then it came with these 2 metal sort of thin things, thin plates with a slot.
Projectors.
Yeah, it was right. To protect the fretboard, so you put it on there, you put it under, the strings or whatever. Well, actually, theoretically, you have the strings off.
You're working the metal. That's what it does. You're like grinding it down.
Yeah, grinding the metal down. Yeah, and it has like a little level thing, so you put it on top of the frets and you kind of rock it around. But anyhow, I got this guitar at Guitar Center. I paid $75 for this guitar, and this guitar has a pickup configuration that I like. It's got 2 humbuckers, and it's got a single coil in the middle. And whoever had this guitar before me, they did some custom work to it because this is not a typical configuration for a Squier Fender Strat, which this is. And so they put some different pots in here. There's one of the tone pots controls the tone for this humbucker. One of the tone pots controls it for this one. This one is wide open, just stays wide open. And it's got 5 positions, but it's a great playing guitar. Sounds good. I didn't have to do much to it, to the neck or anything. Just played right off the thing. The thing I didn't like about it was somebody had drawn some grotesque design on it, and I thought totally ruined the guitar because blue is like my color, but they put this dumb paint job on here. So I sanded it off, and so I'm going to do like a matte finish. So this is kind of it's going to end up looking kind of, weathered and aged relic or whatever. So that one's cool. Another one that I got is this guitar. And this guitar, I also got this at Guitar Center. But this guitar is a Giannini. So it's a Giannini Telecaster. And it's blue. It kind of caught my eye because it's blue and it's got the white pearloid pick guard, which I dig. But it has a pickup configuration, which is somewhat unusual for a Telecaster. It's got like the Mike Stern pickup configuration. So it's got the humbucker in the neck, and then of course the single coil in the bridge. 3-position switch. Everything's real solid on the guitar. When I got this guitar, it was way out of tune. So whoever had it before was trying to tune it like a baritone guitar or something. And so this stuff was all kind of out of whack. The nut had to be filed down by a mile. This is actually the first guitar that I ever got that I had to file the nut down. I was a little nervous about it, but I only paid $109 for the guitar. So I was like, hey, no big deal. I took the old strings off, put some 9s on it, adjusted the truss rod. And actually, I didn't have to do any fret leveling or anything, but it's a really, really good, nice guitar. This strap is one of these the D'Addario locking straps, and I got these for $8.17.
So what's the provenance of Giannini? Is that the brand? Because I've never heard of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a company that I think this guitar is made in Indonesia. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I did something else to this guitar. It had these terrible tuners on it that were like, you couldn't hardly turn the tuners. And so I had to drill out the tuner peg holes. Yeah. And I put these other tuners in here, which actually I got off my Line 6 Variax, because I took these off of my Variax and put some locking tuners on it. And so it's kind of it's a bit of a Frankenstein guitar because it's got some different parts on it, whatever I had at the house. But it's a great sounding guitar. Feels great. The strings are through the body right there.
Cool.
And then here we go. This is called an Ibanez. This is an Artcore. It's Artcore AWD 83T, and it's got a floating tremolo system on it. It's a semi-hollow. It's kind of a PRS style guitar, but I think it has the 24 and 3/4 inch scale length, so it doesn't have the 25-inch scale length like a PRS. But it feels great all the way up and down. It's a little warmer than like a 335 sounds. 2 humbuckers, and a buddy of mine is Rusty. These are actually his pickups from his Gibson Les Paul, and they're 4-wire pickups so that I can do a coil tap here. So we actually did that to the guitar, and I put this roller nut on here because I was having some trouble keeping the trim in tune, and that helped quite a bit. So anyhow, that's a cool guitar, and I paid. I got this used also. I think I paid $249 for the guitar.
Nice.
And it's a semi-hollow, beautiful sounding guitar, and it's red and white. It's my only red guitar, so I thought I should have a red guitar. So there it is.
Yeah, the Ibanez Artcore stuff's pretty well known for being a pretty good value. Maybe you guys remember for sure, but I feel like doesn't Schofield use something like that? Or, I mean, he's known as a guy that's relatively cheap when it comes to gear compared to most guys,
Well, I know he's playing Ibanez stuff, but I don't know. I think he has a signature model though.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's not the Artcore.
No, I'm not sure. It could be. I know some other guys that are playing Artcore stuff, and I mean, it's great stuff. My dad has an Artcore 335 kind of style guitar, and it's great.
Well, there was Two Rock was making I forget the model back in the day, a boutique amp company for those of you that may not know, but I forget what it was called. Might have been the EXO, but anyway, Schofield was playing him, and I don't know if they actually had a signature model for him, but he definitely was endorsing them or was, using them here and there. And someone interviewed him and asked him why he didn't have it on stage with him all the time. And he's like, man, I can't afford one of those. He goes, they're pretty expensive or something like that. Just made a comment that was kind of funny, because 2 Rock is known for being pretty expensive. So he just has always struck me as a minimalist when it comes to that kind of stuff.
He was using Category 5 when he was playing with
the skull that with Government Mule. We went and saw him at the Lifestyle. We saw, me and John and a couple other friends went and saw him with the Government Mule, which was a weird mix between those two. But that's right. He was playing those. It had the weird like hurricane looking or funnel cloud on him. Yeah. I ordered one the next day.
Pretty pricey. Yeah.
Hey, John, I'm interested in that guitar you have hanging on the wall behind you.
This one?
Yeah.
Well, this is my Squire Bass 6. So we use this with the Beatles band. In the later period, George and John played some bass on tunes like Hey Jude and Let It Be. And so we needed something that kind of fit that look. So looked around. There are vintage ones available, but they can be quite expensive. So we looked around. There was a pawn shop version that Fender made, but I wasn't sold on that because it didn't look like the original. So the biggest thing is it had different pickups on it. I think it had maybe like some kind of like humbucker.
Yeah.
Bridge.
P90. I think it's a P90.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So the idea was, with the Fender pawn shop thing was they were basically making it like a guitar that somebody owned and modified. And so I didn't want that. I wanted something that was close to the original. So this has the original kind of like switching mechanism, which is basically on and off switches for each pickup, and then like a dark / like a...
They call it the strangle switch.
Yeah, it's like a treble cut or something.
It's a bass cut. It cuts
okay.
the bass so that you can like play it through a guitar amp and do like overdrive stuff without it becoming too bassy, I guess.
Yeah. So we never really use that because we're using it as a bass.
Right.
But it was relatively cheap. It's a really cheap guitar, and they're this kind of line of Squire stuff seems to be getting really, really well made.
Yeah.
So
it made in Indonesia.
Yep, crafted in Indonesia. Yeah. So the other ones we see at the music store where I work. We see a lot of like Squire Tellys, Squire Strats, and they're all, really, really close. Some Squire basses too, like some P basses and jazz basses. They're all like approaching, or if not better than like the Mexican-made Fender stuff. Like they're right at that same level. It's pretty cool to see.
Some stuff I've been reading about the Squire stuff and the Gibson, the Epiphone stuff is that, the specs are there. It's just generally with those, you might have to sift through more of the inventory and play more of them to really find one that's perfect. But when you do find that one, other than the label on it, it's hard to tell the difference. But you might find some that are a little bit more out of spec, or the frets aren't quite as smooth, or the binding's not as nice, or something like that.
Yeah, and this one for sure. It looks like we may need to like have the neck angle readjusted on it a little bit. It looks like the neck's almost like crooked a little bit if you compare it to the string.
Yeah, I've got a sub. What is it called? It's a what is it? Sterling by Music Man, a sub AX40, and it's it's like that Eddie Van Halen style guitar. Of course, it's not his signature guitar, but when he left Music Man, they owned the rights to that design. So they were able to keep using it.
You're talking about the one that looks like this guy.
That's right. That's right. The only difference between mine and that one, other than that one is way more expensive,
Hey, don't be talking about that.
is that one has a vintage trim on it, and mine has it's got a Floyd Rose, but it's Floyd Rose a la Eddie Van Halen style, where it's blocked. It won't go. It'll only go down in pitch. It won't go up in pitch. It's a little more stable, less finicky and stuff. But that guitar, when I got like a terrific deal. I think I bought it new for like $229 or something. And then I took it to a local guy, Craig Phillips, and the only issue with that guitar was that the neck was a little bit crooked. It was a little bit crooked, like you're talking about that bass 6. But he re-drilled the holes.
Yeah.
Took the neck off and he filled the old holes in, re-drilled the holes, and it's perfectly straight on there now. And that's one of the best. It might be my best sounding guitar. I mean, it's got those zebra pickups, humbucker pickups, and it's got that interesting configuration where you've got 5 positions, and 2 of the positions sound single coily, but the way that they achieve that without hum is that it's always 2 coils at the same time. So it'll be the outer coils and then also the inner coils for like position 2 and 4, and the other positions 1, 3, and 5 are what you'd expect them to be. Yeah, so I've had that issue with the guitar before. And I had that Epiphone Les Paul that I had. The same luthier did some fret leveling because there was a couple of frets that were high. It seems to me like maybe the biggest difference between the guitars is between like Gibson and Epiphone is Gibson. I think maybe they pay a little closer attention to certain things. They actually have another guy look at it and do that kind of work on it before they send them out to folks. Whereas I think that you can get an Epiphone where it's not perfect. Something's wrong with the frets or something. But if you can take it to the right person, if you know the right person.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of like cosmetic issues, like Rusty was saying too, like with bindings and kind of like weird overspray. Like,
yeah.
This bass, for example, has like a run on the headstock, just like
right
stuff like that in the clear. But
Hey, John, I'm curious, what do you tell your students that come in? I mean, obviously you're probably trying to push them towards something, I'm talking like the younger students, not, older, more experienced students that you may or may not have. Like, for their first guitar, what are you telling their parents?
It depends on the guitar. So if they're going for like an acoustic, I usually try to get them into a Yamaha.
Yeah.
Most consistent across the board. So the luthier I go to a lot, basically he now has a shop where he only sells or primarily sells Yamaha. So like they only order acoustic guitars from Yamaha because he's found when he's working on guitars, when he has to really do intensive work on one, open one up, and looks inside, there's fewer issues, all around that he has to deal with in Yamaha. Like they're the most consistent across the board. So if a Yamaha is available in an electric, like the Pacifica, which is like the Strat model, or the Tele model, I might direct him to that, just because those seem to be maybe the highest quality for the price. But a lot of times is what's available at our store. So at Music and Arts, there's Epiphone, Les Pauls, there's Mexican Strats, and I tend to go probably more toward like the Epiphone Les Paul. I think they have like the Les Paul Juniors, which is like the bolt-on neck Les Paul as well, which those might be like $199 or something. Those are not quite maybe up to the standard I like for a student to have, but the Epiphone Les Pauls, they can be around like $399, $350. they seem to be making some pretty nice guitars now too. So
Yeah.
kind of go with those, I think.
I think that's a big thing too. I think that, and obviously I don't teach anybody anything, but for people that have had, like parents that know me, that know I play guitar, and then maybe they're getting something for their kids, I always tell them, I mean, of all the things to get, no matter what the kid wants to play, if he wants to play electric and play, death metal and, all that stuff, whatever, it could be anything. The guitar is like the most important part. Like, don't get one that has action. It looks like a bow and arrow kind of thing, it's got to be something that's easy to play, because I remember when I was learning, that was the one thing, man. You get something with high action or something that can't be tweaked, or it doesn't sound right no matter what you do. You just want to play.
Frets.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's like, this sucks. Who wants to play guitar?
It was like cutting up my fingers, and I was like,
yeah.
terrible.
right. That's just
I didn't know,
Right. They don't need to go drop $3,000 on a Collings or something crazy, or some boutique Sir, guitar. But they should at least, if they're going to spend their money up front anywhere, that's where they want to save up and spend, at least a few $100s. Don't go buy the $79 Sam Ash special, the Carlo Robelli or whatever. I mean, maybe those can be fixed up and things like that. But I'm just saying, generally speaking, if you're starting out, or if you're someone who doesn't, want to spend a fortune on a guitar, but you want something playable, that's where you want to save up your money. Don't worry about the amp. Don't worry about pedals and stuff like that yet. Spend the money on the guitar.
Yeah, because that's what's that's what you're playing, right? That's what you have your hands on, and that's that's what's going to make you enjoy it or not. I think.
Yeah.
Well, I play pedals, but that's me.
Pedals, you just.
Well, hey, guys.
Down on the floor.
And by the way, I wanted to throw this in. We're talking about tone on a budget. There's a company, Thomann. It's a German company, and they sell everything. And they have a house brand that's called Harley Benton. And Harley Benton makes a model of practically everything. The guitars are made in China, but they do the quality control in Germany. And you can get one of their guitars for a fraction of the price of the guitars that they're modeling. And the quality is actually very good. And the reviews of most of the guitars is very good. So you can get them to, and it costs $30 shipping. I bought a guitar from them. It's a JA60B. It's kind of their model of a sort of a Jaguar Jazzmaster kind of looking Fender guitar. And it's got block inlays, tunematic bridge, 25.5 scale length. It's P90s in it. And I paid $118 for the guitar and $30 shipping. And it's usually 6 to 7 business days shipping from Germany for that $30. But I mean, you can't find a guitar that plays better than that for $140. Now there was a couple frets that I had to do some leveling on. But I took care of that. It wasn't a big deal. It plays perfectly. It's great, sounding guitar. It's made out of good thing. Rusty actually played the guitar.
Yeah, you actually unboxed it in my basement. It was like I got to witness the whole thing. It was great.
Yeah. So yeah, there's lots of options. I do agree with, you want to get your hands on something that's a good quality instrument that you don't have questions about. And I think Squier makes some guitars that are in that category. Epiphone is a good choice. Yamaha always is a good choice. And I think if you probably stick to those, you're probably going to be okay.
Yeah.
Zach, let's get you talking about maybe pedals or amps or.
Well, hold on. Wait, because this is good. With Zach, I wanted to ask him earlier because I think Zach has, if I remember right, and it's been a while since he told me, but he showed it last time, his telly with the 2 humbuckers, basically, that you got that deal on from your musician's friend. I think that is like the perfect example of like a really good guitar for really good value on that. And I remember you talked about it. I think you showed it last time we did this, but I mean, I don't want to put you on the spot price-wise, but I feel like you got a really good deal. I mean, that was like, a good deal, right?
Yeah, it was $500 from a musician's friend.
Yeah.
I had no idea, you know, it was going to be a good guitar or not, but it's Korean made. I could pull it out in a second. But yeah, I mean, that's my go-to guitar. It's $500. The Dano Hodad was also $500, and that's probably overpriced. I think it's plywood, but yeah, I mean,
The Telly or the Dan Electro?
the Dan Electro.
Okay.
It's got.
They're all plywood these days, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I bet Shawn's wire there that he got for $75 is plywood.
It's got. I really don't know any of the tone woods of any of my guitars, but it's got like this
Yes.
vinyl binding and but who cares? Because it works. The only thing that came to mind in terms of budget guitars was I don't know if anyone knows the band Portishead. They're not really a guitar band, but they're a great trip hop band. And their guitar player, Adrian Utley, he said he liked cheap guitars because he could get sounds out of those that he couldn't get out of other guitars.
Like
Especially and just clean sound. I'm not talking about like dirty, overdrive kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But if I listen to their catalog, it works. So they do like it's basically hip hop combined with spy movie soundtrack stuff like James Bond, and there's a character to some of their sounds that you just wouldn't get with nice instruments. So everything has a sound, but I mean I think I agree with what you said, Rusty. I mean the action and the way the frets feel, that's important. But other than that, then you just go by your ears, I think.
Well, the other thing too is if you want, I mean, for some people, and maybe it's not beginners or kids, or 12-year-olds that are picking up guitar for the first time, but maybe someone who's a little older that's playing and maybe it's their second guitar. The next level up from that, and still a good budget, if you want American made, a lot of people want that. There was a series Fender made for a while called, I think it was called Highway 1. And it was like an entry-level American made. They did Tellys and Strats, I think, if I remember right.
Like
those things,
700.
yeah, you can get them used now for $500 if you look for a deal. I think they only made them from like 03 to 07 or 08. I mean, it was just a short window, but I'm looking at one on Reverb right now that's used for $700. That's a ripoff. I wouldn't pay that. But you can do that. You can find a good deal on them and get them for $500, and they are a great guitar. American made, if that's a big deal for some people, that's kind of your entry level American side of things.
Another brand I was looking at was Reverend, and I was checking Reverb for some used prices on Reverends, and there's a few models that I found for like $500, $539, $560, and they're pretty cool, like retro looking guitars too, and a lot of them have like cool pickup configurations, like Filtertron pickups and things like that. So like you can get like a Gretschy sort of pickup, and really cool finishes. I mean, most of the ones that were like in that 500 range were pretty plain finishes and didn't have like a nice binding or anything like that. So those are the other things you can kind of look for, I think, on a guitar. Just like no frills, don't worry about like super nice neck inlays and things like that, because that's gonna, you might have to like choose what you want. Do you want the good sound, or do you want like a nice fancy pick guard or something?
Hey man, abalone gives you the haunting mids. You gotta have abalone.
So Hamer are good guitars too. I don't know if you guys know about those, but I've seen a few of those like in the past, and I've always liked the way those sounded, and those are pretty cheap.
Yeah, so Hamer got bought. That brand was bought by Fender. I want to say like 2012, 2013. I really need to get a life. They got bought by Fender, and then a mutual friend of ours. I was down in Cincinnati. There was a shop in Cincinnati that was going out of business, and they were a big Hamer distributor. This was probably 2013. So Fender had already bought them, and they'd already discontinued the line, but they still had a bunch of Hamer electrics, and I'd heard about the brand before. But man, those things are, right there with PRS as far as the way they look. They had really good, grain pattern and finishes and things like that. But I'm I'm kicking myself for not buying it back then. I wasn't in the market for a guitar at the time. And I just remember thinking, whatever, just Hamer, I'll hold out for a Sir or whatever it was at the time that I was, but man, I really wish I would have bought a couple of those because they were blowing them out for like 50% off, normal price. And that was a bummer. I should have done that.
You guys hit to Kramer?
Oh yeah, that's Eddie Van Halen. Come on, Kramer.
Well,
come on.
Kramer is Gibson.
Yeah, they bought him. They were trying to get in the whole Fender game, but
yeah.
I have no idea what we're talking.
I mean, I was watching some videos from this past NAMM show, and Dr. Epiphone was talking about all those Epiphone guitars, and then he was talking about the Kramer guitars too. So they have started to. I mean, that didn't seem like a normal thing to me. Like, it seems like they've made it a point more to have him start to sort of market the Kramer guitars. I didn't realize that Kramer was owned by the same company. Yeah. But this is this guitar here. This is a now I got a really good deal on this guitar, but this is not really a cheap guitar per se. I think this is it's an ebony fingerboard, which already makes it more expensive than my other cheap guitars, and it's got name brand pickups in it, which also means that it's going to cost more. These are Seymour Duncan Blackouts, and it's an 8-string. It's got locking tuners. It's neck through. Strings go through the body. But the reason that I got this for as inexpensive as I did is because if you look right here on the guitar, you can see it right there. Right there, you see the damage on the back?
Yep.
A little imperfection there. So basically somebody dropped the guitar, they were playing it, and their strap probably came off, and it hit the ground. And it probably made them sick. So they said, I can't have this guitar anymore, and they sold it. And I think I paid $500 for this guitar, and at the time these guitars were going for $7.99 or something like that, $6.99. So that's another way that if you want a guitar that maybe has some of the bells and whistles that you want, that's the name brand that you want, you can buy a B-stock guitar, or you can get a used guitar that has some sort of imperfection about the guitar that doesn't affect the sound, that doesn't anything, and actually nobody can even see. If I didn't show that to you, you'd think this guitar was perfect because it's on the back of the guitar. So, there's different ways to sort of get at that. You don't have to, pay full money. And if you don't have to have the guitar right now, you can hang out. You can wait until the right deal appears, and save your money and try to lowball somebody on reverb.
Yeah, it's got too many strings though. It doesn't count as a guitar. It's some other instrument.
Well, that's pretty cool about the damage. Actually, some companies charge money for that.
That's right.
That's right.
They call it relic.
That's relic, baby. You got to pay extra.
Yeah.
Hey Zach, I got to ask.